So we'll be using partial quotients in order to divide. We are dividing 462 divided by 3. So I know to get really close to 462, I can get to 450 by multiplying by 150. So that was my first step. As you can see, I divided 462 by 150, getting me to 450, which gives me a remainder of 12. Since I know 3 can easily go into 12 4 times, we get 150 plus 4 equals 154. But we can do this another way. For maybe someone that's not so fast with the concept. So we'll start with a smaller number, 100. So we go 3 times 100. 3 times 100 is 300. You subtract that and you get a remainder of 162. Something really close to 162 would be 150. And since it's really simple to multiply 3 times 50, we can get to 150 really simply. So we get 50. 3 times 50 is 150. That gets a remainder of 12. And again, we can easily get into 12. 3 can go into 12 4 times. So we have 100 plus 50 plus 4, and that gives us 154. Our next problem is converting 10110 base 2 into base 12. So what I like to do first is go into base 10, because converting everything over after that is much easier. So to start out, we have 1 2, 1 4, and 116. When we add that all together, we get 22. So we want to get into base 12. What I like to do is make the categories. So we do 1 and 12. So step 1 is dividing 12 into 22 and seeing how many 12s are in 22. So we can see there's only 1, because you get a remainder of 10 and you're not left with anything else that can be divided into. So you put 1 to the 12s category. Then you get your remainder, which is 10, but you can't divide anymore. So in this place we will put 10, but we can't put 1 0 because that wouldn't make any sense. So when we use base 12, 10 is represented by t. So in the ones place we put t, and your answer would be 1t base 12. Unit 2. For Unit 2, I've chosen 3/4 times 3/6. I'll use an area model to show you how this is done. So what you want to do first is draw a square or a rectangle, whatever you'd like to use. Then you're going to use your denominators, 3 and 6. As you can see here, I cut the square into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, and 4. That was that denominator. For the next denominator, I'm going to use 6. So that I used to divide it this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. The next step is use our numerators. Since we have 3 of the 4, what we want to do is shade 3 of these 4, which is what I did here. So I used yellow, 1, 2, 3, and I shaded all of those. Next step is use this numerator, which is 5. So we want to shade in 5 of the 6, which is what I did in blue. Here you can see that I shaded 5 rows of the 6. And our answer would be all the squares that are shaded in by both colors, yellow and blue, which we can see turned into green. And what we have there, what we get there is 15 over 24. But that can still be reduced. So we want to reduce by 3, which gives us 5/8, since we divided both by 3. Okay. Next problem. We're going to subtract fractions using the number line. So we have 2/3 minus 3/4. Now we can't really subtract this yet because we don't have equal denominators. So what we want to do is first find the least common denominator. And that's what I did down here. We have 3 and 4 as our denominators, which is really simple because we know we can get to 12. So, in order to not change our values, to change the values of our fractions, we need to multiply it by 1. And since we need our denominator to be 12, for 2/3 we'll use 4/4 because that is equal to 1, and multiplying by 1 will not change the value of our number. So, as you can see, when you multiply, you get 8/12. The same concept is used with 3/4, but to get 4 to 12, we got to use 3. So we use 3/3. That is 1, and that will not change the value of 3/4. That equals 9/12. So, as we can see, what this really is 8/12 minus 9/12. So we go to the number line. Since our number is 8/12, we need to subtract by 9/12. So let's do that. Let's subtract. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So we subtract by 9/12 and we get negative 1/12. Our next two problems will be scientific notation. Here we have is 4.7 times 10 to the negative 1 times 8.9 times 10 to the negative 5. So what we first do is that we're going to combine our common terms. First, we want to multiply 4.7 times 8.9. As you can see, we get 41.83. Next step is to combine our tens. So we can see, since we're multiplying, we need to add the exponents. 1 plus negative 5. Negative 1 plus negative 5 equals negative 6. So that's why we have 10 to the negative 6. So we got 41.83 times 10 to the negative 6. But this isn't scientific notation yet, because we can only have one number in front of the decimal. So in order to do that, we need to move the decimal one place to the left, which also means a 10 was taken from this place, from the 10 to the negative 6. Since a 10 was taken from here, that means it's added over to here. And since we added a positive 1 to the negative 6, it is now negative 5. So our final answer in scientific notation is 4.183 times 10 to the negative 5th. 4.183 times 10 to the negative 5. For our next problem, we'll be dividing. 5.5 times 10 to the 4 divided by 8.1 times 10 to the negative 2. So first we combine our common terms. So we divide 5.5 divided by 8.1. And our answer is 0.67901234567. So then we combine our exponents, 4 and negative 2. Since we're dividing, we need to subtract. So we got 4 minus negative 2. Since we have a negative and a minus sign, we know that we add plus 2 to 4, giving us 6. So our answer is 0.679012345 times 10 to the 6th. But we know this is not in scientific notation yet because there is no numbers in front of the decimal. So we need to move the decimal 1 to the right. Since the number got bigger, one of the 10s was taken out, making it 5 instead of a 6. So our final answer is 6.7901234567 times 10 to the 5. For our last problem, we will be converting a decimal into a fraction. And the decimal we have is 0.123 repeated. So what we want to do to get into a fraction is we first need to find how to get rid of this number. So what we need to do is find how to get this. What I'd like to do is just line up this here and then work my way to the left, as you can see this. So this is all gone. But how did I get here? Well, I had to jump 3 places, as you can see. 1, 2, 3. But how would I do that? So let's see how we got to these jumps. In order to get here, we would have to multiply by 10. And then we would have to multiply by another 10. And then another 10. So this is really simple. 10 times 10 times 10. That becomes 100. And 100 times 100 becomes 1,000. So that's what we multiplied it to get to this number here. Now everything's simple. Now we just subtract 1,000 minus 1 equals 999. This becomes 123. So in order to get this into a fraction, we would need to divide, and that's where this comes from. So the x becomes by itself. This is our number now. 123 over 999, but we can still reduce. So we divide each number by 3, and we get 41 over 333.